this is our style for today. It is very pretty, very whimsical. I do love the word whimsical. It is a style I've been messing around with a little bit for a while. It is actually incredibly comfortable. I know it is incredibly comfortable because I work reasonably long shifts at work and I don't get a lot of time to sit down. So I was wearing it the whole shift and it was still really comfy when I got home. I did have to then take it down, though I probably could have slept in it. It was a close call. I was pretty tired. So I also got lots and lots of compliments because it's one of those styles that you look at and it looks incredibly complicated and incredibly difficult. And you end up with lots of people asking you, did you do your own hair? Did somebody else do it? So that is the kind of goal with this hairstyle. Very easy to do, very good to look at. And you have some interest at the front and the back. I know, could you ask for anything more? Let's get started. Today I will be using some little tiny hairbands in this very convenient little box. This one's from Boots. A hair fork. This isn't needed for the actual hairstyle, it is just for holding sections out of the way. Sorry, I keep looking out the window. My cat is climbing up the wall at the end and she's hilarious. You could also use a rat tail comb to help you with the separating, but I'm used to using my fingers, so I tend to do that. And I've got a tangle teaser. I have also oiled my hair with this because this was on sale last time I was in Boots, which was about 3 months ago. I'm good with keeping up with my shopping. So, step 1 is to separate out the front inch-ish. I switch wildly between metric and imperial measurements. Clearly been watching too much American television. Right, so the measurement you want is really the middle of your ear, and then just keep it in equidistance or equal distance. Someone tell me which one it's supposed to be. If you're anything like me, you will always get this. And I just like to separate that bit out because I'm far too much of a perfectionist. And then again, from the middle of your ear, up. Cousin it interpretation. Blend the bits together just to make sure that you haven't done what I've done here. There we go. Now, separate out the back. I love Nautilus buns for this. And pull all of the hair to one side. Okay. So, this is after oiling. My ends still look like this. I've not been taking care of them. Okay, so we're going to separate off a small amount of hair and we're going to lace braid it. Now I'm actually going to take a slightly triangular section to start with because this allows you to have the lace right from this bit but actually have a slightly larger section of hair. And I like to, instead of doing 3 overs and adding hair on the 4th, I like to do 4 overs and add hair on the 5th, just for these little tiny lace braids. It may not make that much difference, but I feel like this gives a much nicer start to the plaiting. To do this, what you do is you start with the side you want to add hair to first. That's 1, 2, 3. Okay, now this would be the start of our lace braid then, but we're not adding hair to the back, so back goes over, that's 4, hair add 2, next strand, and keep going. The key to this style is that you don't want to see any of your scalp. So this lace plait needs to be behind your gap. The way to do that is to make sure that you take entire lengths of section. So you want to take a section that's very narrow but goes the entire length of the section. I've used the same words too many times in one go. I like to section with my thumb and pull over like this. That's personal preference. It's just how I end up using my fingers. It can be difficult to get smaller sections when using a thumb. Sometimes the finger's easier. But I have no nails either, so that is somewhat challenging. Okay. The angle at the end of your plait is going to determine where you can put this plait afterwards. I want mine to aim down towards the base of my skull, meaning that what I want to do is go a little bit like this, and then I want to plait from the other direction, still in a downwards direction, but this is easier on my arms. And then I tuck the plait underneath my bun at the back and finish it off. This means that I just get everything in the right place. Now you might notice I use a slightly different plaiting technique when I get right down to that really thin end. I don't grab with my little finger anymore. I grab between these two fingers. So I have like this, holding between these fingers. And then I just put it over, and I use my thumb and forefinger on my right hand. I'm right-handed. And then I just put it over that finger there, hold it in place. I find this is a lot easier for little tiny plaits when you're getting to the end of your hair, because otherwise you can lose the strands when you're trying to grab big hunks with fingers like this. Less little finger strength involved in this plait. Okay, one plait done. Sorry, there was a bit of snapping. I like to avoid the snapping. Okay, this actually on its own can be quite a nice style. You can just wrap it around and you've got a lace headband. But that's not the style we're going for at the moment. I'm going to rebrush this. I like to rebrush prior to resectioning when I've had my hair back, because sometimes my hair just gets these little tiny knots in and it's less pulling to do it this way. Okay, we're going to do the same. Now, you're not taking from down here, you're going to push back. So not directly in a straight line, take half a step down. You're going from sort of the tip of your ear, the bit that would be covered if we were elven. And then back, and you want to judge the distance about the same. But bearing in mind it doesn't have to be exact. This section is automatically going to be slightly longer because that's the maths of your head. This bit's going to have a wider circumference. But as long as you've got approximately the same size hunk of hair, hank of hair at the end. Say it all gets very twisted. Right, again. Okay, I want that bit. My screen went dark. Then you want to put all of your hair to one side again, and this time we are going the other way. Yes, you can do it both in the same direction, but you will not end up with the same look. I am going. Okay, now this one, again, make sure you take the section here. You can, if you want to start it with a slightly larger bit, take some hair from back here, but I find that I just don't need to. Again, I'm starting at the front so that we do 4 overs prior to adding hair. That's 3, that's 4. And then exactly the same lace braid process all the way across your head until you run out of section. Again, making sure that you try and keep the plait towards the back of the section. So, just going to keep that out of the way. Because we've already done this one, you can do the back one first, but I find the sectioning more difficult. Because we've already done this one, it's going to be very difficult to section from the front. So what you need to do is section from the back when you take your adding these. So just kind of pick them up off the top. It shouldn't be too difficult. And if you do struggle with this, as I say, you just need to do the plaits in the other order. And if, like me, you end up with slightly oddly sized sections at the end, just take from one and add to another just a little bit. If you add large sections from one strand to another strand, it does make it very obvious. If you add small strands, so a third and less of a strand to another strand, it's usually actually not that bad. Now I'm plaiting this one downwards because it's further back on my head. I want to be very careful that I get them both going in the same angle towards the back, as opposed to what would likely happen were I to attempt the same method I had before, which is that this one would end up going across the middle of the back of my head and the other one across the bottom. And I want them to cross at the same place. That is quite possibly just a me idiosyncrasy though. Again, my plaits sections are a little bit skew-whiffed, so I'm just adding a little bit of one to another. You have to hold them quite carefully when you do that. And again, I am back to my little end braid method. This one does feel a little larger, as I said, even though my section was slightly thinner. If you have particularly thick hair, this may actually be more obvious. My hair is very, very fine. I have a lot of it. But as I say, it is very, very fine. So if you have very thick hair, you might need to make your sections more of a 2/3 to the front and 1/3 to the back bit to make them the same size. But you just have to experiment with this. One way to do it is to section both bits out first, put them in ponytails, and just check that the ponytails are about the same width. But I like to have all of my hair back when I'm doing the first plait. I find that if it's not connected all at the back, I have a tendency to randomly manage to grab bits of hair that don't belong. Because, you know, life. Right, now we have this. You'll see that this bit of scalp is visible. Again, if you've got very dark hair, that might be more visible on you. My hair is slightly darker than my skin tone, but only because my skin tone is in this light luminescent. Right then. The last section is the back of our hair. Again, it's perfectly fine to leave it like this. You could just attach them together at the back, or you could wrap them all the way around and have your hair down. I actually wore this hairstyle to work. I cannot have my hair down at work. So I opted for a very pretty basic plait. Brushing my hair out. Now, what I want to do is I want to start this plait away from the nape of my neck. I remembered the word, I didn't call it the base of the skull. So, basic 3-stranded plait, sectioned vertically, and you need to hold it quite tight on the bottom so that it doesn't go down. So we're holding our hands up, and I will show you that if I can get my chair all the way around. There we go. So, pulling the understrand up, and you can support it with your finger. Wiggle backwards. And the same again. After this, it's just normal, because you've anchored the plait. Whee! Okay, so I've started the plait, refilming this bit because I forgot. So decide which way you're going to spin the bun. If you're plaiting this way, it's usually easiest to spin the bun that way. And then work out, okay, that makes this side my outside side. So I'm going to pull, not on the whole strand, just a little bit of the strand, and puff out that one side. Then I'm going to put a few more turns in the plait and do the same. You can do the whole plait and then puff out a side, but it's difficult and you often end up with very variable results. So try and hold the plait quite strongly. Big balance between having enough security in the plait and actually allowing the hair to move through enough to provide the poof. And keep going down, making sure that all of your poof is all on that one side. As always, you can do whatever variations you like. If you want to poof both sides, you can, but you will get a different result. This will also cause more braid shred than you had otherwise. Again, that's fine. We're going for a very soft look anyway. Okay, so this side is poofed, this one is not. This is going to form the inside and this is going to form the outside. And I am going to actually pin as I'm going. Okay, one of the tricks to this is that you want to make sure that you don't secure any of the poofy bits down at their edges. The inside edge you want to secure, not the outside of the poofy bit, because you will de-poof. Alright, next we're going to wrap these around. I'm going to put them across the flower at the back, sort of just underneath it. This is also going to provide a little bit of extra stability to your bun. So, yeah. I like the spinny chair. Then, easiest to secure one at a time, and use a pin. This will end up looking like we have got hundreds of braids, even though there will only be 4 in a row. You'll find that it just looks like a lot. And then I'm tacking this end under this one, and I'm securing that. So that is our style for today. I hope that you have enjoyed it and I haven't babbled too much. Happy styling!